Dan, how's everybody doing?
Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going? Are we? Dan, can you see if people are even on
Hello.
here?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I
hear
can
me?
hear you.
Hello.
Catherine, you're there as well?
Hello, I'm here.
Hi, Catherine. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. I hear everybody loud and clear. So look, we at ARC thought we'd take it upon ourselves
Dan,
to
Pat,
do.
I don't think we could hear you guys.
Can you
Can you
hear
hear
me?
me?
I can hear Dan.
Okay. So,
I can hear all three of you.
okay, I can hear everybody, so should be all right. So listen, we decided to take it upon ourselves to kind of put a little package together in terms of going over some of the uncertainties and the questions circulating around COVID-19, especially with regards to group benefits. And we've been getting a lot of questions from our clientele, and we thought it'd be the easiest way would be to go online, create a video where we can share that information in one place and maybe get all those answers that you're looking for out. So I am going to direct the first question here towards Alex, and it's people keep asking, what happens to my employees if we decide to temporarily lay them off? Can
Alex
hear?
can't hear you. Alex is having trouble hearing.
Here, you know what? We'll get him to relog. We'll get him to relog for a moment. And we will be right back on that one. So let's just talk first and foremost about what would be some cost-taking measures we can make on the plan for the time being. We get this question a lot, and in terms of just tweaking the plan, there's a lot of things that you can do internally, which get stressed quite often in terms of shopping your medication, buying in 90-day quantities. A lot of people don't realize, but every pharmacy is its own business. So buying in bulk is like buying in Costco. There's a lot of savings to be had. Pat, you wanted to touch on that as well, I believe, right?
Yeah, I just think in terms of cost-saving measures, because we're getting a lot of questions on, what happens. I'm going to get to a lot of them later on, but what happens, like how can we save costs before ultimately wanting to cancel a plan or anything like that? There are a lot of things that can be done on a group plan in order to save costs. Oftentimes, some things related to not necessarily essential benefits like vision care or the amount of allotment towards different healthcare providers, stuff like that. But the thing is you have to analyze a plan. So every plan's different. Every plan has different tendencies, different places where they spend more and make things more expensive. So the best thing I can say is if you want cost savings in your group benefits plan, the best thing you can do is have your plan looked at, have your plan assessed, and see if there's anything we can tweak in order to make sure that you save on costs.
Pat, would you think it's a good time right now, even with everything going on, to take that time to look at it? Or is it something that really needs to be done once this whole thing kind of settles down?
Look, I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea to look at things now. It depends on where you are with your plan. A lot of people are busy right now with things and they don't have time to look at it, but there's a lot of companies that might actually have a window where maybe there's a little bit more time because things are less busy, and basically it's as good of a time as any at this point in time because insurance companies are still operating. So if you want to have your plan looked at right now, it's a great time. It's as good as a time as ever.
Alex, I think we have you back here now.
Maybe not. We're having a little technical difficulties.
Yeah, I think we're having technical difficulties because I can't hear you guys.
You can hear me?
I can hear you, Pat.
Catherine, can you hear any of us?
I can hear
Okay, yeah.
Patrick and Alex. Daniel, can I hear you?
Test. Anything?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to
Alex,
redirect
can you hear that?
I can't hear anything.
Pat, you want to direct the question to Alex?
Yeah, so Alex, we're going to go into question number 1 here. What happens if my employees decide to if I decide to temporarily lay off my employees?
Yeah, well, it's actually a multiple part question. It really first and foremost depends on your contract. So if there is a provision for benefits to be maintained during any temporary layoff period, well, employees will first need to validate if they're eligible for coverage elsewhere. So through a spouse's plan, an association plan, or any type of plan of that nature. If they are eligible for another private insurance plan, well, they're obligated by law here in Quebec to actually adhere to those plans. Second part of that question is if there is a provision for maintained benefits. Well, at the end of the day, that's when the employees would have a certain amount of, I guess, coverage that would be available to them. When we validate with the insurers, it looks to me as if everything would be covered except for short-term and long-term disability. Obviously, salary insurance is something that would be covered if they are gaining a salary at that point in time. But again, it really does depend on what your contract is. Maybe Catherine, I think you would be able to elaborate a lot more on this than I can right now.
No, I think you have it covered pretty well. When a temporary layoff provision is part of a contract, you have to adhere to it. So in Quebec, it's not a choice, especially for the drug insurance portion. So if you can, you must. So you must look at your contract very closely. I would advise you to seek out your service representative. We have all of our clients' contacts, or to make sure that we advise you in the correct manner. It's important to know that, yes, disability benefits are not maintained because there is no salary contingency. There is no employment to actually insure. But your employees will remain covered for life insurance, which is definitely very important.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most important aspect too, right?
Pat, do you want to touch who pays the premium?
If you want, I can take over that question.
Yeah,
Who pays over the premium in this case? So if you do have a provision under your contract that stipulates that you can maintain benefits, obviously there is a premium payable to that. So the legislation does not cover the premium share. So you must refer to your group work contract or any union bargaining arrangements that you have in your company, or if you have any policies in place with your employees, an employee booklet that stipulates what happens regarding the premium sharing when employees are laid off. So please refer to that. So all the premiums will remain in force except for the benefits that will have been terminated. At the moment, we're unsure about any payment provisions that will be updated by the insurance companies. We'll keep you posted on that for sure.
Good stuff. One thing that we get asked a lot is, can I use telemedicine as a resource for COVID-19?
I can help addressing this question. First, I want to mention that for all, we should have mentioned this at the beginning, but every single insurance company has a website related to COVID-19, an FAQ that kind of goes over their different. Every company operates differently, so it's important to have a look at your company's website, and most of them have pretty comprehensive FAQs that answer most questions you have. We have a little tab here that Dan's posting. These are the websites for the insurance companies and the phone numbers that you can call if you have any questions related to COVID-19. This is a document along with another one that we have with more information that we can provide to you. If anyone wants a copy of this document or a certain resource, they can reach out either during this presentation or after, and we'd be happy to send you an email with all this information. But related to telemedicine, so a lot of you on your plans have a provider such as EQ Care, such as Dialogue. These companies at this point cannot refer a patient to a coronavirus screening test, and they also cannot diagnose coronavirus virtually. That being said, they're a good resource for any questions that you might have about your local resources and stuff like that. In addition, if you have symptoms that are unrelated to COVID-19 or to coronavirus, they're a fantastic resource to visit. So you don't have to visit a crowded hospital. You don't have to leave your home. They're an excellent resource for things like that. Because as everyone's been kind of mentioning on the news and everywhere, social distancing, staying away from people, having a service such as EQ Care or Dialogue and using them for those reasons is a great tool. If you don't have something like that on your group plan, it may be a good idea to add something like that. It would be, I'm not sure if these providers are taking clients at this point, but I would assume that they are. One last thing to note is that if you have any symptoms that EQ Care or Dialogue or another company would deem to be suspicious related to coronavirus, they will be obligated to tell the appropriate authorities in order to make sure that this person's identity is disclosed. This shouldn't be something that's, it's not really a breach of privacy, it's for everybody's safety, and you should be, if you have these symptoms, you should be encouraged to go to these have a test like that. So it shouldn't be something that would affect you a great deal in terms of a breach of privacy.
Yeah. Actually, what's cool with telemedicine is when it comes down to peace of mind, my wife for the past few days hasn't been feeling 100%. So obviously the biggest fear right now is, oh my God, I have COVID-19. What do I do? What are the next steps? So obviously here at ARC, we do have access to EQ Care. So what we did was we went on the platform, or she went on the platform. She went through triage. She went to meet face-to-face with a doctor. And basically, he put her mind at ease, right? He just made her realize that, okay, it's not COVID-19. You don't have the two main symptoms. Yeah, you have a sore throat. Yes, you're feeling a little fatigued, but at the end of the day, as long as you don't have the cough or the fever, which are the two largest symptoms when it comes to COVID-19, I mean, it really did put our minds at ease, I'll say. So there's a lot of value with telemedicine, especially in these times.
Thank you. So a lot of questions always comes up beyond the group plan. How can I free up cash flow? It's a question that comes because there's a lot of businesses that are still operating because you can't just cease operations. Even though you're trying to work from home, you're also trying to keep everything moving forward. And they're looking for additional resources. So one of the things that we've taken up at ARC was partnering with other firms in different industries, all types of services that are currently outsourced in terms of like commercial insurance, indirect sales tax recovery, shred programs, recruitment fees. So all the partners that we're working with are currently finding ways to cut on the costs and help bring that essential cash flow during this time back to the businesses to help them continue to operate, to preserve those jobs, and to help businesses locally. So these are all industries in which there's nothing lost by having the conversation. They are only going to be able to bring value. And if they can't bring value, then at least you know that you have a very lean product. So it's kind of a really good time, especially because, maybe there might be an interruption in your current business that, hey, we can take a bit of a back road, reevaluate all these processes and maybe find 2, 3, 4% in all these different industries and really help drive back some costs to the businesses. A question that we keep getting, this is back on the group topics here, is what happens if I can't pay my premiums? Catherine?
At the moment, we have been asking carriers what their policies will be. At the moment, all group insurance contracts have a provision of a 30-day grace period. So your group insurance premium is always due on the first of the month for the current month. However, you have a grace period of 30 days to pay your bills. We've been asked these questions a lot today. It's going to understandably take some time for the insurance companies to take a position on this. They will have to reevaluate their own cash flow, speaking of cash flow, and the impacts of such a policy. There's also ramifications on their processes internally. As you know, this is pretty much very well automated. So as you know, there are repercussions on the participants when premiums are not paid, because benefits are not paid. So they have to look at their internal processes, how they can put that on hold. So there's quite a few things to consider. So we're hoping that in the next couple of days, we'll have like clear positions from the insurance companies regarding the premium payments.
I would assume, Catherine, that this is something that they'll put on their COVID-19 websites.
Absolutely, yes.
Which is why even if you've checked them yesterday, it's something that's important. Check these links daily. Have a look at them, because there's going to be more and more information. As we've seen, like a week ago, people thought this wasn't a big deal, and here we are all teleconferencing from our home offices. So obviously things develop very quickly in terms of.
And I'm sure everyone's aware, even on the news now, there's almost a daily update where there's new laws and different things imposed. Each insurance company has their own stance, and they're making their own decisions as information comes out. So these links are constantly updated, so they're worth revisiting. Even if you check it today, keep following up as long as this is going on. That kind of follows into trip cancellation. There are a lot of people asking about that, and really it's, like I said, each insurance company has their own policy on this topic. So it's really important that you call your provider and inquire directly and follow the links that we had provided earlier.
I'd like to add on that the microsites that have been put together by the insurance companies are now very detailed. So if you take them a moment to actually go through all those questions and answers on their websites, they've narrowed down a lot of different situations. What if I have booked my trip before this date or after this date? Can I still use the trip cancellation policy? So they've narrowed it down to quite a few situations that might happen to help you understand what you're covered for and what will not be covered. Because obviously, some trips that have been taken past a certain date will not be part of the coverage. So again, we refer you to the question and answer of your insurance company's website.
Catherine, are there any programs for workers, who that are absent from work in order to care for their children, or that that are at our school?
Yes, we've gotten a lot of questions about if the short-term disability such absences on the group insurance. You have to remember that when you have disability benefits, they're to cover people that are sick from an illness or absent from work due to an accident and are unable to work because of that illness or accident. If you are absent from work because you've been laid off or unable to take care, or you have to take care of your children, unemployment insurance will be the benefits to go to. We have shared with our clients a link that we can share with you also. I'm sure Daniel will make it available. With the new economy put in place by the Canadian government, that will support those that were laid off of work because of voluntary, involuntary confinement, as well as taking care of the children. The government of Quebec has also announced such programs to cover those that are not covered by employment insurance, such as self-employed individuals.
Great. What salary replacement programs are available for employees affected by the virus if quarantined?
Patrick, are you taking that one, or should I go ahead?
You can go ahead. I'm just going to post something here.
Perfect. All right. So if an employee should be affected by a virus, so at the moment, the insurance companies are now firm on their position. Only those that have received a COVID-19 diagnosis will be able to qualify for short-term disability benefits, as it is recognized as an illness. If employees have been quarantined because they've been in contact with persons with COVID, or from people coming back from vacation, from traveling, or they've traveled themselves, these people will have to go to unemployment insurance programs.
Is that across all insurance companies having the same stance on that? Or is that still case by case?
Yes. It's still case by case on the forced quarantine for somebody who'd been maybe in contact with, but that was one or two insurance companies that were still unsure about that position. Again, their microsites will give all the answers pertaining to their position on that.
Great.
Okay, so I am going to wrap up on the Q&A. If we have additional questions that come in, please direct them to one of us four. We'll be happy to provide additional information. And if you want help with the cash flow issues, or to have the plan looked at, or to see other measures that could be put in place to control this, reach out. We'll put you in contact with those individuals, and we'll make it so that it's as easy as possible, and it's the time to look through it. Thank you.